Boker Tov, everybody. Abby, I've been watching this slideshow that's on YouTube and Facebook, and I'm thinking, I've known you for a while, from Camp Ruach and from religious school, and one thing that has always struck me is your maturity and your composure, all with a smile, and I know that last year, when that moment came and you had to postpone your Bat Mitzvah, you met that moment with the same maturity and composure, and maybe even a smile, maybe not. That is the core essence of you. And now you are called to Torah, and that core essence we honor by being with you, whether we are the small group that's in the sanctuary with you, or whether we are scattered all over the planet. I think right now that I'm closer to your house than I am to the temple, but still, I am with you, we are together, and we celebrate with Psalm 133, Hine Ma Tov. Hine ma tov u'ma na'im, sheberachim gam yachad. 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 Hine ma tov u'ma na'im, sheberachim gam yachad.
One of the privileges of Jewish adulthood is the privilege of wearing a talit, a prayer shawl, and a little sanctuary, a personal sanctuary, and it's an honor to invite Abby's grandma, Barbara, to present it, and Stacy and Greg will help her put it on. Mm-hmm.
Abby, today is your Bat Mitzvah. I want you to know that you made us very proud, mostly by just being who you are. Everything you do is so unselfish. You always think of others. When you were 7 years old, on your birthday, you asked people to give any gifts they intended for you to go to a women's shelter. That's just one of very many deeds you have done. You should feel proud of yourself, and we all do love you. Graham.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehitatef b'tzitzit. We continue on page 67. May the door of the synagogue be wide enough to receive who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship. May it welcome all who have cares to unburden, things to express, hopes to nurture. May the door of the synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness, pride, envy, and enmity. May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet. May its be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness. May this synagogue be for all who enter the doorway to richer and more meaningful life. We continue on page 74 with the singing of Mtizvah.
We transition from a prayer about the sacred space around us to a prayer about the sacred space within us. Asher Yitzar. I thank you for my life, body and soul. Help me realize I am beautiful and whole. I'm perfect the way I am, and a little broken too. I will live each day as a gift I give to you. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Baruch atah Adonai Rofeh chol basar umafli לעשות Baruch atah Adonai Rofeh chol basar umafli לעשות Whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa.
We continue on page 80 with Nisim B'chol Yom, our Thanksgiving for daily miracles.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam,
Who has given the
who has given the mind the ability to distinguish day from night. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who opens the eyes of the blind. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who frees the captive. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who lifts up the fallen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who stretches the earth over the waters. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who strengthens our steps. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who clothes the naked. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who gives strength to the weary. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who removes sleep from the eyes, slumber from the eyelids. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who made me in the image of God. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who has made me free. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who has made me a Jew. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who girds Israel with strength. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who crowns Israel with splendor.
Amen. As we turn to page 86 for the blessing of Torah, we are here with a message from Ginny Mercer, who was one of Abby's teachers of Torah.
Abby, the thing that stands out to me about you is that you have a very strong sense of who you are. You know exactly what you need, you have your own unique style, and you carry yourself with confidence. I think you made the right decision to move your Bat Mitzvah date so your dad could come be with you. That shows clearly what's important to you. And I'm so glad that you kept the same parsha. It's one of my favorites, and I think it suits you. I'm really glad we could study some in person before the pandemic hit. It was a pleasure. Mazel tov. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. And on page 88, in the middle, these are things that are limitless, of which a person enjoys the fruit of the world, while the principle remains in the world to come. They are honoring one's father and mother, engaging in deeds of compassion, arriving early for study, morning and evening, dealing graciously with guests, visiting the sick, providing for the wedding couple, accompanying the dead for burial, being devoted in prayer, and making peace among people. But the study of Torah encompasses them all.
On page 106, we rise for Chatzi Kaddish.
Yikada vikada shemei rabba
Amen.
be'alma dira hirhute be'yam lich malhute be'chayechon uvyomechon uvchaye techol be'Yisrael ba'agala uvziman kariv vimru. Amen. Yechei shemei rabba mevarach le'alam u'lamei almaya yitbara v'yitabach v'yitapar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitale v'yitala shemei dekudasha brichu le'la min kol birchata Veshirata tushbechata benechemata damairim belma vimru. Amen. Baruch Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Va'ed.
Please pray with me in the middle of page 110. Praise are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, creator of light and darkness, who makes peace and fashions all things, and mercy. You illumine the world and those who live upon it. And your goodness, you daily renew creation. How numerous are your works, Adonai. A wisdom you formed them all, filling the earth with your creatures. Be praised, Adonai, our God, for the excellent work of your hands. And for the lights you created, may they glorify you. Since new lights upon Zion, shine a new light upon Zion, that we all may swiftly merit its radiance. Praised are you, Adonai, creator of all heavenly lights.
Baruch atah Adonai Yotzer HaMe'orot. On page 113.
Baruch atah Adonai habocher ba'amo Yisrael b'hava.
Love your neighbor as yourself, you said, and light blinded, we saw that inner and outer worlds are one as you are one. You spoke and we wrote, we reached for you down the centuries. Your light moving before us as we climbed, fell back and climbed again. Your Sinai of life.
L'chaim.
L'chaim.
On page 114.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kivod, Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed.
Please be seated. Page 116.
You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might. Take to heart these instructions with which I charge you this day. Impress them upon your children. Recite them when you stay at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you get up. Bind them as a sign on your hands and let them serve as a symbol on your forehead. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Thus you shall remember to observe all my commandments and to be holy to your God. I am Adonai, your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai, your God. Adonai Elohim Emet.
We continue on page 121.
The eternal truth is that you alone are God and there is none else. May the righteous of all nations rejoice in your love and exult in your justice. Let them beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Let nation nor not lift up sword against nation, nor learn war anymore. You shall not hate your brother or your sister in your heart. The stranger that sojourns with you shall be accepted as your equal, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. Why do you crush my people and oppress the poor? Asked God. We know that the Eternal One defends the poor and upholds the rights of the needy. Praise to God Most High. Blessed is God and deserving of blessing.
On page 122, we continue with Mi Chamocha.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot, ose pele, nora tehilot, ose pele. Yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai. שירה חדשה, שירו גאולים, לשמחה על שפת הים, יחד כולם הודו והמליצו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, Adonai yimloch le'olam ba'ed. Yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai. Please rise. So Yisrael. Kuma be'ezrat Yisrael, uvdechenu mecha, Yehuda v'Yisrael. Go aleinu, Adonai tzivaot shemo, Kedosh Yisrael, Baruch atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael.
Page 124.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei Avoteinu v'Imoteinu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanara, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, v'Konei HaKol, V'zocher chastei avot v'imaot, u'mei gula livnei v'neihem, leman shemo be'ahava. Melech ozer u'moshiach u'magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'zarat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, mechayei metim atah rab l'choshiyav. Moshiv haruach u'morid hagashem. מחלחל חיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לך חיות מתים, ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי המתים. נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמעתי שמותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוך כל הארץ כבודו. אדיר אדירנו אדוני אדוננו, מאדיר שמך בכל הארץ, כבוד אדוני ממקומו. אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו, הוא מלכנו, הוא מושיענו והוא ישמיענו, ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון לדור ודור. הללויה. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, ושכחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Page 132.
ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת. מקדשי שבי שבת, כולם יספעו ויתענגו מטובך שבת. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת. והשביעי רצית בו וקידשנו שבת. חמדן יעמים אותו קראת השבת. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת. זכר למעשה בראשית שבת, זכר למעשה בראשית שבת, ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת וקורא עונג שבת, ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת וקורא עונג שבת.
We continue on page 135.
Where has this week vanished? Is it lost forever? Will I ever recover anything from it? The joys of life, the unexpected victory, the realized hope, the task accomplished. Will I ever be able to banish the memory of pain, the sting of defeat, the heaviness of boredom? On this day, let me keep for a while what must drift away. On this day, let me be free of the burdens that must return. On this day, Shabbat abide. Help me to withdraw for a while from the light of time, contain the retreat of the hours and days from the grasp of frantic life. Let me learn to pause, if only for this day. Let me find peace on this day. Let me enter into quiet world this day. On this day, Shabbat abide.
Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha-Shabbat. Page 137. Steve.
On this holy Shabbat, may we draw near to life, to peace, to joy. May we find true rest, holiness in our deeds, worth in our study of Torah. Let us feel the love of goodness. Let us drink from the love of goodness. Restrain our thirst for excess and cleanse our hearts to serve life well. On this holy Shabbat, may we draw near in life, in peace, and joy.
Baruch atah Adonai she'otcha levadecha b'yirah na'avod. As we turn to page 139 for our prayer of thanksgiving, we respond each time with the words Modim anachnu lach, which means we are grateful to you.
For the expanding grandeur of creation, worlds known and unknown, galaxies beyond galaxies, filling us with awe and challenging our imaginations.
Modim anachnu lach.
For this fragile planet Earth, its times and its tides, its sunsets and seasons.
Modim anachnu lach.
For the joy of human life, its wonders and surprises, its hopes and achievements.
Modim anachnu lach.
For human community, our common past and future hope, our oneness transcending all separation, our capacity to work for peace and justice in the midst of hostility and oppression.
Modim anachnu lach.
For high hopes and noble causes, for faith without fanaticism, for understanding of views not shared.
Modim anachnu lach.
For all who have labored and suffered for a fairer world, who have lived so that the others might live in dignity and freedom.
Modim anachnu lach.
For human liberties and sacred rights, for opportunities to change and grow, to affirm and choose.
Modim anachnu lach.
We pray that we may live not by our fears, but by our hopes, not by our words, but by our deeds.
Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha, ulechana el lehodot. On page 140, our anthem of peace, Sim Shalom. May God grant peace, goodness, and blessing, grace, kindness, and mercy to all of us.
Sim Shalom. Tova sim shalom tova uvracha. Sim shalom tova uvracha. Sim shalom tova uvracha. Chen v'chesed, chen v'chesed v'rachamim. Chen v'chesed, chen v'chesed v'rachamim. V'rachamim. Sim shalom. Tova uvracha. Sim shalom. Tova uvracha. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Amecha sim shalom. Tova uvracha. Sim shalom tova uvracha.
We share a few moments now in silent prayer.
Oh, say shalom, bimrama. Oh, say shalom, bimrama. Hu ya'aseh, hu ya'aseh, hu ya'aseh shalom. Hu ya'aseh, hu ya'aseh, hu ya'aseh shalom. Hu ya'aseh, hu ya'aseh, hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu. 1, 2, 3, 4. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down.
We turn now to Seder Kriyat HaTorah, the service for the reading of Torah. You can find it on pages 248 and 49 in your Sidurim and your prayer books. I invite the assembled to please rise, and all of those who are participating in passing Torah to wait there and then ascend the bima. Please rise.
No.
We are gifts we are blessings, we are history in song. We are hope and we are healing, we are learning to be strong. We are words and we are stories, we are pictures of the past, and the carriers of wisdom, not the first and not the last. Ledor vador nagid God lecha, Ledor vador, we protect this chain from generation to generation. Ledor vador, these lips will praise your name. Looking back on the journey that we carried in our heart, from the shadows of the mountain to the waters that would part, we are blessed and we are holy, we are children of your way. And the words that bring us meaning, we will have the strength to say. Ledor vador nagid God lecha, Ledor vador, we protect this chain from generation to generation. Ledor vador, these lips will praise your name.
Abby, you know, I have to think of something to say to all of our students. And every once in a while, what I think of saying matches what everybody else before me has said. The person on Friday night who gives the gifts, and then Seth, and then Jenny. So I was going to say the same thing, which is, Abby, the greatest part of who you are is that you know who you are. And that so, to me, resembles Abraham, who God didn't just say, go, lech. What God said to Abraham was, lech lecha, go forth with all of who you know who you are, and be a blessing to the world in knowing who you are. It was Abraham who so knew who he was and so knew that this world was what it was and that there had to be a master of it all. That was his knowing. And you have your own knowing. So what had occurred to me that I wanted to say and add to that beautiful, beautiful compliment to somebody who's young but who so knows who she is I wanted to add how sweet it is that we're standing here. It's October 31st. It's just a couple of days till a big election. A lot of us have a lot of anxiety about so many challenges that are happening right now. And here you are teaching us a really important thing by giving us these masks that say, be kind. That's the most important sermon that anyone could give on this Shabbat, is be kind. If we are kind, if we go out and be a blessing by being kind, Abby, like you are kind, like the kindness which said at your 7th birthday, give all of my gifts to a women's shelter, the be kind by putting a swing a special swing so that nobody can't play on our playground, so that everyone's included. To be kind in all the ways that you're kind is the most beautiful and probably the most important thing that we can all go forth with today, as we all lech lecha into whatever is the next chapter for all of us. So thank you for just being you, and for knowing who you are, and knowing that deep, deep message in the way that you are kind, and in the way that you're reminding us to be kind. And I know that we are all going to be blessed by you for many more years. And so as you receive this Torah now from all of these people who are your deepest loved ones, and in the presence of this extended family of loved ones and all of the people who are joining us virtually, we are so proud of you and so happy that this Torah is reaching you today.
L'dor vador nakid godlecha. L'dor vador, we protect this chain from generation to generation. L'dor vador, these lips will praise your name. Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongue. Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongue. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav b'tzivanu לעסוק בדברי תורה, לעסוק בדברי תורה. Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on sweet words of Torah. Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongue. Baruch atah Adonai, Baruch atah Adonai Rabbeinu Melech HaOlam Asher Kichanu B'mitzvotav B'tzivanu La'asok B'divrei Torah La'asok B'divrei Torah Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongue. Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongue.
At this time, Abby will give a Dvar Torah, a word of Torah about the portion this week.
When I first read Lech Lecha, I thought there were so many parts to the story that I was afraid I might have a hard time summarizing it. But then I realized it was all about challenges faced by Abram and Sarai and Lot, and their need to trust God and accept changes or challenges. Lech Lecha means to go forth and be a blessing, and that is what Abram and Sarai did. Sarai was Abram's wife, and Lot was Abram's nephew. At the beginning of the story, God tells Abram that he needs to go to Canaan, and that he would give Abram land and make him a great nation. Abram built an altar for God. As the story continues, Abram and Sarai were faced with famine. So they went to Egypt to get food and money. While in Egypt, Sarai pretended to be Abram's sister, so that Abram would not be killed. In Egypt, Pharaoh took Sarai as his wife, and Abram received animals and slaves. However, God inflicted plagues on Pharaoh because Sarai was already married to Abram. Pharaoh returned Sarai to Abram, but then took all their possessions. Abram, Sarai, and Lot then returned to the altar in Bethel, where Abram and Lot agreed to split the land that was given to them. Abram offered Lot the better and more beautiful land. God then blessed Sarai with a child. God told Abram his children would be in many nations. And he changed Sarai's name to Sarah and Abram's to Abraham. Adding the H represents God. The great nation was the ability of Abram's children to be in many nations. This is the story about trust, challenges, and character. Abram needed to trust God. God had told Abram he would build him a great nation. But when he went to Canaan and built an altar, he and Sarai were faced with famine. When he fled to Egypt because of famine, the Pharaoh took all his belongings. However, upon returning to Canaan, and despite his challenges, Abram offered Lot the more beautiful land. Why? Because of his trust in God. Abram trusted God would still provide him with a great nation. God then blessed Sarai and Abram with a child, telling them their children would be in many nations. Abraham's trust in God, despite so many challenges, highlights his character. How it relates to me. I do not think there was a better Torah portion for me than Lech Lecha. I can relate to it in so many ways. As many of you know, I was supposed to have my Bat Mitzvah last year, but because of my father who had a stroke and was in the hospital, just days before my big event, it was postponed and rescheduled for this year. Now we have COVID. Having type 1 diabetes during the COVID pandemic and doing school virtually while trying to prepare for my Bat Mitzvah for a second time is very challenging. My challenges, however, are still small compared to what is going on in the world. Today, the world is a very different place than a year ago. COVID-19 has caused so many challenges to so many countries. For some, the challenges are similar to Abraham and include plague, famine, and loss of possessions. I am sure we all remember how long the car lines were at food pantries around the country at the beginning of COVID. Those lines are still there. You just don't see them on the news anymore. We also see rising COVID-19 rates and rising unemployment rates. We see that minority communities are suffering at greater rates of infection and higher death rates. If we look, we can see that poor countries are suffering too, maybe even more than us. Maybe these challenges will inspire character like Abraham. Maybe individuals with character will come together to make a difference, as stated by Malala. Together we make a chorus standing up for what we believe in. We raise our voices for those in need. We help people in danger, even if they're an ocean away, and think of the world as a family. So like many of my classmates, my Bat Mitzvah is nothing like I originally planned for it to be. But that is okay. I'm still being Bat Mitzvah. My father is okay and here to support me. I am still surrounded by my family, friends, and Jewish community. None of the challenges listed have stopped me from my journey. As I mentioned earlier, I have type 1 diabetes. Unlike type 2 diabetes, type 1 is an autoimmune disease that is very difficult to manage. I was diagnosed at seven with type 1 diabetes. And type 1 diabetes is really hard and a lot of responsibility for a 7-year-old sometimes. Sometimes in school, I would have to miss recess or gym because of my blood sugar. It would be too high or too low. It wasn't fun. So for my Bat Mitzvah project, B'nai Mitzvah project, I wanted to help children with medical issues play. My B'nai Mitzvah project was to raise money for an adaptive swing for our congregation's playground. I know how it feels to be left out at playtime when my blood sugars didn't cooperate. I wanted the children of our religious school, those who had sensitivity issues, to not miss out on fun playtime with their classmates. I raised money from my B'nai Mitzvah for my B'nai Mitzvah project with a silent auction and a bake sale.
Follow along in the red Eitz Chaim commentaries as Abby reads from the Torah. She's beginning at the beginning of Parshat Lech Lecha in the portion Genesis chapter 12 verse 1, which is on page 69 in your commentaries. And for the honor of an aliyah, I invite her uncle Kevin down below, and her parents, Greg and Stacy Cohen, to Torah. Ya'amdu Yitzchak ben Chaim Ubasha Bezalman ben Chaim Ubasha Beshoshana bat Avraham Vesara La'aliyah la Torah. If you want that.
B'chu Adonai Hamvarach, Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Lilam V'ed, Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher b'cha b'anom b'kol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato, Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Do you remember where it's at?
Right here, right?
Can you find it?
Is that it?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it is.
Amen.
Amen. Vayomer Adonai el Avram lech lecha me'artzecha u'mimolatecha u'mibeit avicha el haaretz asher ar'eka ve'etzcha lagoy gadol va'avarecha va'avagadla shemecha ve'hyeh baracha. After.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu et Torah. No. Natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nata b'sachenu, Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. And now it is an honor to invite our Bat Mitzvah to Torah, Abigail Leah Cohen. Ta'amod b'chura habat mitzvah simcha bat zalman b'shoshana la'aliyah la Torah.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Ve'avram mevarechecha u'mekalelcha aor bimrechu v'cha kol mishpachot ha'adama vayelech asher Avram kasher diber elot Adonai vayelech ito lot ve'avram hamesh shanim ve'shivim shana v'tzei tov meharan. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam natan b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Please rise. I'm doing the memorial prayer now. I'm doing the memorial prayer.
Can you lift it up? Can you lift it up?
El Malei Rachamim, Shochem Bamromim, Hametzei Menucha Nechona, Tachat Kanfei HaShechina, B'malot Kedoshim Tehorim Kezohar HaRakia, Mazhirim, Et Nishmot, Chaim ben Moshe v'Sora, Chaim ben David v'Sara, Neshama bat Chaim u'Basha, Guto ben Chaim u'Basha, Reuben ben Chaim v'Basha, Shehalchu le'olamam, Began Eden tehem menuchatam, Ana balarachamim, Astirehem beseter kanafecha l'olamim, Utzror bitzrachem et nishmotehem, Adonai hu nachlatam. Ve'anuchu v'shalom al mishkavotehem. V'nomar Amen. You may be seated. And now a blessing for our Bat Mitzvah. Mi sheberach avotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah hu yivarech et Simcha bat Zalman v'Shoshana שהגיעה למצוות ועלתה לכבוד המקום ולכבוד התורה ולכבוד השבת. הקדוש ברוך הוא ישמריה ויחייה ויכונן את ליבה להיות שלמה עם אדוני אלוהיה, להגות בתורתו ללכת בדרכיו ולשמור מצוותיו, וישלח ברכה והצלחה בכל מעשה ידיה. יזכו הוריה לגדלה לתורה ולחופה ולמעשים טובים, ותמצא חן וצדקתו בעיני אלוהים ואדם, ונאמר Amen. May the one who blessed all of our ancestors send blessings to Abby, who has come for an aliyah upon reaching the age of mitzvot with reverence for God and respect for Torah and Shabbat. May the Holy One of Blessing protect and sustain Abby, helping her to be wholehearted in her faith, to study Torah, fulfill mitzvot, and to walk in God's ways. May her parents have the privilege to rear her to maturity, guiding Abby to the continued blessings of Torah, escorting her to the marriage canopy should she choose, and helping her, inspiring her to live and continue to fill her life with ma'asim tovim, acts of loving kindness. May Abby find favor before God and continue to be loved and immersed in this, our community, as we all say, Amen. And also in the sacred presence of the Torah, we offer blessings of healing for all of those who are in need. Mishaberach avotenu, Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov, Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah. V'yivarech v'yirapeh et kol hacholim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu yimaleh rachamim alehem lahachazikam u'lerapotam v'yishlach lahem mehera refuah shlema min hashamayim. Refuat hanefesh refuat haguf b'toch shar cholei Yisrael hashta b'agalah v'zman kariv v'nomar Amen. May God, who blesses our ancestors, bring blessings and healing to all of those who are in need. May the Holy One of Blessing mercifully restore them to health and vigor, granting them physical and spiritual well-being with all others who are ill, and let us say, Amen. Please rise. Bezot HaTorah
Asher sa Moshe Lifnei b'nei Yisrael al pi Adonai Beyad Moshe Yismechu hashamayim Yismechu hashamayim Yismechu hashamayim V'tagel haaretz Yismechu hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, v'tagel haaretz. Yehiram hayam, Yehiram hayam, Yehiram hayam, umelo. Yehiram hayam, Yehiram hayam, Yehiram hayam, umelo. Yismechu hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, b'tagel haaretz. Yismechu hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, b'tagel haaretz.
my job. Abby is reading from the prophet Isaiah this morning at chapter 41, verse 5. If you'd like to follow along, it's on page 96 of the red commentaries in front of you.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nvi'im tovim v'ratza v'divreihem hane'emarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'torah uv'Moshe avdo uv'Yisrael amo uv'nvi'ei ha'emet v'tzedek.
Amen.
Coastlands see and are afraid. The ends of the earth tremble. They draw near. They approach. Each helps the other, saying, "Be strong." The artisan encourages the goldsmith, the one who hammers the metal smooth. Compliments the one who strikes the anvil, saying, "The soldering is good." And they fasten in place with nails that cannot be moved. But you, Israel, my servant, Jacob, my chosen one, offspring of Abraham, my friend, I have taken hold of you from the ends of the earth, and call you from its far corners, and said to you, "You are my servant. I have chosen you, and not rejected you. Have no fear, for I am with you. Do not be afraid, for I am your God. I will give you strength. I will help you. I will uphold you with my victorious hand." Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam sur kol haolamim sadik b'chol hadorot ha'el ha'ne'eman hamoer ve'oseh hamdaber umkayem shekol devarav emet v'tzedek al haTorah ve'al havodah ve'al hanvi'im ve'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh שנתת לנו אדוני אלוהינו לקדושה ולמנוחה לכבוד ולתפארת על הכל אדוני אלוהינו אנחנו מודים לה ומברכים אותה יתברך שמך בפי כל חי תמיד לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
We turn now in our prayer books to 256 as we rise to the return the Torah to the ark.
Eitz Chaim hi lematzikim ba betom lecha meushar daracheha darchei noam b'chol nivovotecha shalom hashivenu Adonai alecha v'nashuva kadesh yameinu kekedem.
Abby, this is our moment to get to tell you or talk to you about us, for us to talk to you, rather. Abby, our sweet Abby, it has been a long road, and we're so proud of you. We thought about what we were going to say to you. This year, we prepared a speech last year, but so much has changed in the past year. You are no longer the same girl. Although you're still kind and sweet, you've matured a lot and taken on a lot of responsibility, and we're very proud of you. You are funny and insightful and you're just amazing, and we're really proud of you. But there's so much that we want to say, and we just don't have enough time. But, one of the things that impresses us about you is when you were first diagnosed with diabetes, and you were in the hospital, and they told you that type 1 diabetes was forever. And you realized that you were going to have shots the rest of your life. Your dad and I are heartbroken for you. And we thought, how is our sweet girl going to do this? That this was going to be too much for you. But we were wrong. In the hospital, when you found out you had to have shots even after you left, you crossed your arms and you threw yourself back in the bed and you cried. But that was it. You came home and you moved forward. You accepted your diagnosis better than we did. If you remember the first time we went out to a nice restaurant for your father's birthday after you were diagnosed, do you remember this? And Dad ordered the biggest piece of chocolate cake. It was for all 4 of us to share. It was the chocolate lava something or other. And we tried so hard to figure out what your insulin dose was going to be. And I couldn't figure it out. And then I looked at you and I said, Abby, if you could give me some time, I promise, I promise I will get your life back to as close to normal as possible. And you looked at me and you said, okay, Mommy, I don't have to have the cake. And you showed us more maturity and understanding than any 7-year-old should have to. And I hope that I have kept my promise to you. I will always keep my promise to you. You are an amazing girl, but we also want to let you know that you are more than type 1 diabetes. You are so funny, and I feel like most people don't see that about you. You keep that humor into your close little circle, but you are funny and compassionate and a team player. You inspire others. At a service a few years ago, the rabbi spoke about heroes, and she mentioned Nelson Mandela and some of the other great leaders in history. And she said that, they're heroes, but sometimes there are those unspoken heroes who sort of intersect in the lives of others and sort of propel them towards greatness. So although a long time ago you mentioned about being the first female type 1 diabetic Jewish president so that you could lower medicine prices, you wanted to be the president of the United States. If you don't do that, Abby, I know that you will intersect in other people's lives, propelling them to greatness, and you will be their unspoken hero. You are amazing, and we are proud of you. And my only advice to you, and I'm sure your dad agrees, is don't change. We need more people like you. We need more kind, compassionate, forgiving, energetic, funny, and sometimes a little stubborn. It's perfect. You're perfect. Thank you. I love you.
Do you need more tissues?
Good.
You use a couple more, Dad.
Stay there. You guys get to stay there. You get to open the ark. You get to open the ark. You get to stand in front of the Torahs with your hands. Yep, open it right up. We want to see those Torahs. And you get to be Seth's hands and your own as Abby's parents, just embracing her as we invite God's blessings upon her. Maybe each of you on one side. Yes, that's beautiful. And Seth is going to sing to you a blessing from the Torah, which should remind you that you are blessed, that God is there watching over you and keeping you, that God's light is shining through you and in you and on you, and that God is there granting you wholeness and peace.
Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom.
We continue with the ark open right where you are, and all of us standing on page 282 with Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabech ladon hakol, latetz gedula leotzer bereshit, shelo asanu kegoyei haratzot, velo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama. Shelo samchalkenu kahem v'goralenu kecha hamonam v'anachnu kor'im u'mishtachavim u'modim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. You can close the ark.
V'nemar v'haya Adonai lemelech ol kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad.
You guys can turn around. We think now of all of our loved ones, those whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years past, from Abby's extended family. We think of Herb Cohen, Herman Loeb, Vicky Cohen, Todd Cohen, and Doug Cohen. Zichronam livracha, may their memories forever be for blessing. As we turn to page 294, we join in the mourner's Kaddish, thanking God for the gifts of life and memory. Yit Gadal, Yit Kadash, Shemei Rabbah, Ve'alma divrach hirute ve'amlich malchute, V'chaye chon u'v'yomei chon, V'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala u'bizman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach, le'olam olamei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal, shmei dekudasha brichu, le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya b'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yeshvei tevel ve'imru amen.
Ve'imru, ve'imru, ve'imru amen. Ve'imru,
I want to say thanks to everyone who is here today, as well as those who have logged in to support me. It has been a long but rewarding process. Miss Jenny and Carly, who helped me with my Hebrew, my previous religious school teachers who made religious school fun, and my classmates who have been with me for years. I want to say thank you to my parents for driving me and supporting me always. To my brother, Ty, for holding my hand when I received insulin shots after I was first diagnosed. I know you love me more than you say, and I love you. I especially want to thank my friends and family who have supported me this past year. I wish I could say join me in Dave Hall to celebrate this day, but It is okay, but it is okay because challenges build character. Shabbat Shalom.
Wonderful job, Abby. Please join us in our final song. If you know it, sing it. If you don't, Abby, we hope that this is one of the best days of your life.
I had a dream so big and loud, I jumped so high I touched the clouds. Whoa, oh, 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 whoa, oh, 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 oh. I stretched my hands out to the sky, we danced with monsters through the night. Whoa, oh, 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 oh. I'm never gonna look back, whoa, I'm never gonna give it up. Whoa, please don't wake me now. 2, 3, 4, ooh, ooh, this is gonna be the best day of my life. My life, ooh, ooh, this is gonna be the best day of my life. My life.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.